Guys, welcome back here at the Matt Chat Podcast. We have a very special guest today, Coach Guy Rossini, Coach extraordinaire, wealth of experience in all things coaching. And Chris and I wanted to bring him on today to speak about a lot of the topics we touch here on the show, but more or less about the aspects of coaching, how it affects kids, the culture of winning, the environments, and all that stuff. Because I know I know you and I have had our experiences with it. And I know you have a plethora and another level experience than we do. And I guess the first thing is, what's the biggest change you see in today as far as that lack of culture and that lack of need to want to be successful and win?
Well, I think the first thing we could start with is how kids are coached. When I first started playing in the 60s, it was about man on man. It was about you got to be better than the guy across from you. We hit probably 2/3 of the practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Every night.
So you're talking football right now?
I'm talking football.
Yeah,
Football. That's what I've coached the most.
Correct.
I touched on the baseball and the basketball, but mostly football. 22 years of football.
And talk about
22 years. Okay, so you're highly seasoned.
So
then.
you played at all levels, youth,
Yeah.
high school, and in college.
And in college, yes.
And you walked into the room with Lyle Alzado was where you were.
Yes.
You went to the same college. You want to tell everyone about that.
Right. What an experience. I mean, I'm a little freshman kid. I was one guy on a plane flying into Yankton, South Dakota. Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like I said to Paul, I've talked to Paul about this many times. When I told my father, I said, I'm going to go to Yankton, South Dakota and play football. He goes, that's great. He goes, when you come back, I'll have a spot for you in the Union. So not only was I only 5'6" and 170 pounds, when he hit me with that, I was like, oh,
wow, reality just
yeah, and then, again.
Well, more importantly, I got some big shoes I got to fill to prove my dad wrong.
Absolutely.
More importantly.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
The one thing I was good at is turning that into the juice that it needed to succeed.
Absolutely.
Size never entered the
equation.
my mind.
Yeah.
I knew I was strong enough, and if I had to get stronger, which I did out of Yankton, I did it. I was around successful people.
You were willing to work and do what it takes to be successful.
I'm at a little school, smaller than you can imagine, and Lyle Alzado standing there. I mean, the guy was
That's enough. Enough said.
All-Pro, Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
Could have been in the Hall of Fame, or maybe even in the Hall of Fame. But
Yeah.
and there was many guys like him out there. It was a school for
Well,
sports.
those are farm-bred boys out there, so they got retard strength.
Well, he's Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York
Brooklyn,
kid.
New York.
Came out at
Alzado.
I've told the stories. He came out at 180 pounds, and he had a lot of moxie in him. He had a rough life when he grew
Dad
up.
beat him.
Yeah,
That was very abusive.
Yeah. He was a Golden Glove boxer. Many of the things that you guys do and talk about, he was there at his level, and he's just phenomenal athlete. And there was plenty on this team.
Wow.
When I went out there, you play a high school team, you hope you get 2 or 3 players that are really good athletes, or 4 maybe.
Yeah.
You're lucky you get 5 or 6. But when I went there, everybody was.
I got to think at the college level too. These guys are, they're good.
Yeah, and we used to say the same way. So we're Yankton, South Dakota, and then we go watch Nebraska play. Who are those guys?
And where the hell?
Where are those guys?
Who's feeding them and where they come from?
Right, because Nebraska in the 70s were the dominant team.
football, right?
Yeah.
And we had a lot of kids. I had kids from Nebraska on my team. Some tough guys from Chicago. Boy, they were rough dudes.
They were bangers.
But yeah.
Talk a little bit about your accolades at the youth level and all the things you've accomplished as far as titles and whatnot.
Well, I want to say this: the kids earned all those titles.
You had some special kids with you,
Right.
no doubt.
Yeah. The kids do the work. Okay. I played. You learn. You know what it takes to do it. Right. They did it. Fortunately for us, is they wanted to get better, and I wanted to teach them to get better, and it was a perfect combination.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, you need that to be successful.
Right. And I worked very hard at that. People don't know. I got 300 clinic hours.
Oh, wow.
There's probably not a high school coach that has 300 clinic hours.
No, there is not.
And I raised 4 kids doing this. So at night I'd go to New Rochelle for a football clinic. I'd go to the Nike clinics. Anywhere I could learn. I was at WestCon. Anywhere I could learn.
So it's the equivalent of continuing ed, say, from him and I.
Right.
You're just perfecting,
Master
you're training your sport.
Yeah, because here's the
master
thing.
craftsman.
Yeah.
Mastering his craft.
When I first started, I learned from somebody, right? Another coach. And I learned how to, prepare and all those things. And I just wanted to take it to the next level. I wasn't a head coach in the youth football program till probably 7 years in.
Well, I remember because you coached my son.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I was probably just starting to become a head coach.
You were a head coach that time,
Right.
yeah.
So think 22, 23 years. I've probably only been a head coach for maybe 14 of them.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to learn and understand.
You had to pay your dues and get to the
Right,
get to your ability to do that.
Right. So
Right.
listen, I look at it now. I know a lot of fathers, come in and try to, do the job.
And then there's also a lot of fathers that come in just to help promote their son,
Yeah,
and they
well,
don't care about the job either.
I'll be honest with you. There's more of that than
I've seen it.
AKA Daddy Ball.
It's why
Right.
we don't do team sports
right.
anymore.
That's the thing. You asked for a change. That's one of the things that's changed dramatically. I mean, escalated daddy coaches.
How do you?
And
How
people's
so?
and the other thing is parents' expectations of their sons.
Yeah, I've made that comment in other podcasts of my own son. He must be the only kid that's not the point guard, face-off man, quarterback.
And I hope people see that. 'Cause
Yeah.
when you say it, it freaking.
But
I pick it up immediately.
Yeah,
And listen, parents. I understand. I'm a parent. I'm a parent of 4 sons. I mean, I know the ups and downs of the whole bit.
Sure.
Right? We always want something, better for them or more for them. But you know what? They gotta earn it, and they just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Well, more
get it.
importantly, even if they're not earning it, then you're not going to be successful.
Right.
And then as a coach, what's the ultimate objective? To have one kid be successful, or to have the team be successful? If you want the team to be successful, you got to put the right kid in the right spot,
Absolutely.
regardless of whose feelings it hurts.
And that's the key of a good coach.
Right.
That's one of the things that makes a good coach. Getting a kid in a direction where he can succeed. Right. Everybody wants to, push a kid that doesn't have the tools and there's something he's not ready to do. Doesn't mean he's not going to. When he's 8 years old, he's not going to do it when he's 16 years old.
Right.
But right now, any spot on the football field for a kid, he's going to learn the game.
well, I think a story you told me, and we'll just keep names out of it for sake of anonymity because we don't have permission. You've had players.
Well, I figure
Yeah.
I'm going to be here once, so I may throw a
No,
couple.
you can throw some names out. Listen, we're all about that, but this particular, I know what you're talking about. I'm all about, you can throw all names you want, you know me, we don't give a
I'm
shit.
not kidding.
So please do. But in this particular context, you've had players come through your regime, and it's like, they think they're X, but they're not, they're Y. And you say, well, do you want to be an average or below average player at X, or do you want to be an all-state Y?
Yes.
Right? I
I've
mean,
experienced that many times.
Yeah.
The last one I did, the kid was just definitely one of the better linemen I've had in the 20 years. And, previously from other coaches, he was pushed to be a running back because in that league, you get a kid that's a little bit oversized and a little bit stronger. He's running over.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's running, and it looks good, but it's not going to make that kid successful at the end, right? So I had a talk with his father, and his father was, still pushing me to keep him to be a running back. And I just finally told the father, I said, listen, I'm going to do what's best for this team. And, he looked upset, and then I went to the kid, and I said, listen, do you want to be an all-state lineman, or do you want to be an average running back? He goes, I want to be an all-state lineman. I said, well,
Well, there it is. Kids usually have the right
They-
answers. It's the
exactly.
parents' expectation, like you said.
absolutely. The kids definitely know where they stand. Listen, when you grew up and played sports, or Paul grew up and played sports, he knew the kids in the neighborhood who could play and who couldn't play.
That's right.
And the kids know. So it worked out for that young man, and that young man's playing college
So
football.
now, besides that, how have you seen coaching just change from? I mean, I got to be honest. I can remember when we were playing football, Coach Califas.
Oh, God. You graded by your face mask.
Dude,
Yeah.
blew smoking,
yeah,
smoking a cigarette,
man,
blew it in your face, threw you on the ground,
Yeah, man.
stepped on you,
Yeah.
and guess what? He got the most out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, now it seems like it's a kinder, gentler coaching. Also, everyone's got to play, and let's make nice, and let's do this.
Bullshit.
And, yeah.
Well, I think the thing that I've transitioned into, I'm accused of not hitting enough. So I believe that practice time should be spent on the technical side of football.
Absolutely. Any sport should be on the
I
technical
grew up,
side.
I was a running back and defensive back. I returned punts, kickoffs. Nobody ever, from the time I started football to the time I played high school, nobody ever told me how to do it or what to do differently.
Right.
Self-taught.
Right.
Or self-learned on the field.
Fortunately,
importantly.
I had an older brother that pushed me to play with his group of kids, which were 3 or 4 years older than me. So I just did it out of survival.
You kick your lumps.
But I think about it now, some of the kids that I'm teaching now are getting good high school coaching
Right.
or even close to college coaching. And the technical side is so important, and then they start developing the physical part of the game, and the two come together. I always say this, like you ask a kid that's never played football before, go hit that guy. You know he's not going to want to do that, right? But if you teach him how to tackle or block properly and have all the techniques, he may step over that line and get it done. And I see this even here when I come to this gym and you guys are working on all your
everything is technique. Right. Everything in life is technique.
Well, I found that out earlier than most coaches today.
Right.
And that's what I teach. I want to teach them how to properly do it, give them the confidence to do that, and then we go into the part of the game that's the most difficult.
That's fun too.
Well,
right. Everybody likes. If you're playing football, you better like contact.
Well, you know,
let's be honest.
It's a gladiator sport. You better be able to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if a kid if he tackles somebody and he does it in technique, and he was fearful of doing that before, once he makes that clean tackle, we're off to the races.
Absolutely.
Right? That kid just...
Because it doesn't hurt anybody. Usually the person running doesn't get hurt and the person tackling doesn't get hurt.
See, when people are worried about concussions and all that stuff, is because of poor coaching.
Incorrect technique.
Right.
Also, I think that as medical professionals, I can tell you that you create a subconscious crutch for these kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I have told this to parents who they're out of their fucking minds.
Yeah.
All right, they want to do, let's do a pre-study to see where they are neurologically, and then so if they get hurt, we have a base.
Right.
All right, so let's get them
put it in their head.
For the kids that aren't there yet, and their balls haven't dropped, and their confidence isn't there. Oh, let's make them worry about a fucking injury that
hasn't even happened yet. It hasn't even happened
so
yet.
I completely, from a sports psychology standpoint, I think it's the worst thing you can do. You know, so it circles back to like we were talking about the culture and the development of certain situations. So where you've taken your expertise and said, okay, we're gonna be technically the best on the field. And I know for me, when I've coached football, I don't claim to be any type of football coach based on just my expertise. It's not that I have a love and passion for it, but I have enough knowledge where I've evaluated players and we're like, they shouldn't be on the field because they were scared.
Right.
You know, and I got shit from it. I got shit from it. Yeah, I had the head coach of it. Last time I coached football, had me evaluate the kids. I gave the evaluation, and I had the president of the league telling me I couldn't say that. And I was like, well, go fuck yourself. Because if that was your kid, all right, I'm protecting that kid from getting hurt. By telling you
100%.
that they're deer in the headlights, and they don't want to be on the football field. Maybe not today. Maybe next year, maybe year after. They're just not ready for it.
Well, mommy and daddy want them up.
Yeah,
daddy wants them up.
And you're telling me to evaluate, and I'm telling you they're not ready to play the game.
They're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
They're willing to force their kid into an injured position,
Correct.
a possible injury, and put it on you, right? And you trying to do the right thing. Listen, they start at 8 years old. They got plenty of time to develop.
And more importantly, there's plenty of sports out there that if a kid doesn't enjoy the contact, there's other sports out there.
There's nothing wrong with that
do.
either.
They got lacrosse. I gotcha.
You'll hear nothing from me.
Oh, you'll get plenty from me on it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the aspect, like now you talk about cultures, like you look at places like Darien, Ridgefield, Staples.
I studied them.
Okay, now talk about why is it that
here's the question. Is it just money? Because if it's just money, then you know what? If the richer town you're in, the better you're going to be. But I don't think it is.
It's the culture too.
Well,
money helps. Don't think it doesn't.
Because they can bring in the right people.
Coach Bear Bryant, when he went to Alabama, and he was a winning coach when he got there. The story is they were all the fathers and the townspeople asking him how we're going to get Alabama football back on track, and he pushed a spittoon in, and he said, "Fill it up with cash." So,
all right, well then there it is.
So here's the thing, but smaller programs, you know.
I mean, let's be honest. Apollo Creed, before he got rich and shit, he was in that dumpy old gym knocking people out.
That's right.
Like, I mean, come on now, Rock did it.
I love that.
But the thing is if the people see that and they see there is an atmosphere of culture and there's work ethic and all that, they put in the money to upgrade the gym, to get the strength and conditioning coach.
Right.
Darien just knew this, figured it out. You know, people don't know this. Darien was a small M school when I played. They weren't this town that you talk about.
This powerhouse.
Yeah.
Right.
Because let's be honest, there's still an M. They may not be an M school anymore, but there's still a small town.
There were still towns there with wheelbarrows, right?
Right.
And what they found out is they wanted to be successful. They got the taste of it, and the right coach got in there, and he set the culture of success, and they found the money. People found the money to get what they needed to do to be successful. I saw a Snapchat last year. Greenwich was playing Richfield, okay, for the semifinal game. And I got a Snapchat. Darien is in the weight room, the whole team, lifting while they're watching Richfield play Greenwich. Because they're up next. And that...
Fantastic.
That's
what I'm fucking talking
So here's a
about.
question.
That's what I'm talking
You said
about.
culture again.
Right.
How do you breed this culture?
Well, you got...
I mean, it's got to be more than just money. Like, what breeds a culture? I mean, the kids have got to be the
I think to his point, the money comes easier when people buy in and say,
when you're winning.
here's the result.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a parent that's not going to invest in a situation that says, hey, we're winning titles, we're winning section titles. You know,
And your kids are getting
competitive.
looks at college too. Let's be honest. If you're winning all these things, that's where the scouts
It's also
are
about a
coming
coach,
at too.
a coach that gives a shit too.
Right. I'll tell you, from the time I played to the time now, these kids are getting way more looks than we ever got.
Right.
Nobody came and saw me play. You know, I got a word of mouth. I got a couple, 3 letters. You know, no film. I had to basically go to the principal to get my film. My head coach wouldn't let it out. I mean, it's
crazy.
different.
It's crazy.
Today, these kids have so much opportunity to continue their sports career, even I don't care what level it is, as long as they're doing it, right?
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Because you guys know, when you're involved in a group of men with the idea of accomplishing something together, there's no better thing in
And with resources, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If you got resources,
Right.
you can really do some good work.
Right, absolutely. So Darien, New Canaan, they figured this out long before everybody else did. And that's how they actually won. Darien didn't have...
Just so you guys out there know, he's talking about Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah, this is
I'm
state of
very
Connecticut.
most familiar with Connecticut.
Yeah.
So Darien, Connecticut, you know, started out, you know, a decent town football. This coach came in, who was I did some clinics with him because I wanted to learn from him about the sport.
Obviously, he's doing something right.
He's absolutely doing something right, and he started coaching his tail off and getting kids to successful, and next thing you know, the people follow. And I've experienced that at the youth level, even with 12, 13-year-old kids. I experienced what he experienced at a different level, but I experienced how families and the kids all got together for one goal.
Yeah. Children are moldable. If you have the right person,
Right.
Sculpting, you can. I don't care if
Absolutely.
they're 10 or if they're 20.
Right.
You can turn them into
Right.
something good.
But it's the culture
to a masterpiece.
like he's talking about. Like you take Masick, right? They started they were scoring 50 points a game last
Yeah, but those
season.
kids were huge.
Has nothing to do with that.
Oh.
They weren't that. They were good, but they became indestructible because what did they do?
They won.
They won, but where did they go?
Oh, they went to the
State,
state
they went to state,
championship.
but also what team were they emulating? They went to Staples and said,
Yeah.
tell us how to do this."
Right.
Yeah.
The head coach at
Yeah.
Masick, that's
More
a
important.
great story. Head coach at Masick, floundering SWC coach. Decent job. Good. He's a hard worker. Matter of fact, I brought kids at the youth level down to a 7-on-7 championship thing, and New Fairfield won it. We beat all those teams. Yeah. So, but you could see he was different than a lot of the coaches. He had great work ethic. He always wanted to keep busy with the kids. Well, he
And he was constantly learning. It
right.
sounds
Well,
like
he
too.
decided he went to
And adapting.
He switched from Weston and went to Masick. He took over the Masick program, and the next thing I'm hearing is a year later, he's doing joint practices with Staples Westport with a 4-time state championship coach,
There you go.
league championship FCX. So
That's what
he's
it takes.
right. He's learning their culture. He learned everything about how they do it, transferred it to Masick, and they went in and kicked
So-
New Canaan's ass.
There's no question. So, okay, here's my next question, I should say. You can take these kids and these kids, and if you have good coaching, you can turn average
Absolutely.
kids into
Absolutely.
unbelievable. So
That-
really coaching,
that
when,
is-
when people say coaching is 60% of it, they're not lying.
No.
It really is. You take the same guys, put a shitty coach in there, and they might have some success. You take those same guys and or worse guys, and take a good coach in there, and they're going to have so really it's that important.
The great coaches coach from the bottom to the top, not the top to the bottom.
Got it. Because the guys at the top need less of the attention, and you have to listen. It's almost like you wanna elevate the whole group so they can perform at a standard that's necessary to win.
Right.
Because it's not just one cog in the wheel on team sport. They have to be able to. And remember, in that sport, you could lose a guy in a second. So if the other guy behind is not prepared, how did you do any justice by it? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Well, when you're a 17 or 18-year-old kid and you walk into a college weight room, and you see juniors and seniors benching 350, 400 pounds, and you're going to compete for those positions, you get woken up pretty fast.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it also, to that point, my biggest complaint and my own experiences has been, I know what I can coach, but I know I can train anybody in any
That's
sport.
correct. Absolutely.
I know what I can coach and what I can't coach, but I know I can train anybody for any
You
sport.
can prepare somebody.
I can
Yes,
prepare them
yeah.
for any sport. That's my expertise.
Well,
yeah.
And that's been one of my dilemmas with experience with coaches. Like, know your fucking role.
Right.
You may be a fantastic, you may be the, fucking
The best coach ever, but you're
on
not a
the
strength
planet.
and conditioning
You're not
coach.
even
No.
close.
No.
And you don't know how to translate that to the field.
No, it's changed completely.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, even as a town like New Fairfield, they could have a weightlifting coach. They could have a conditioning coach. They could have all those things. They just somebody's got to want it, and it's got to start with the head of the program,
Right.
right? New Milford's just brought back a coach that was coaching college. I am sure that his
They'll be-
program
absolutely.
right, because he's been through it. He knows what it takes. Back in the day, Darien were one of the stronger teams. Darien, Connecticut was one of the stronger teams. They won just by being stronger sometimes than the other guys.
Physical.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they started, getting the X and O's. A lot of these guys come in, they think it's about calling a play.
Right.
That's the easiest thing to do on a football field. It's
The
all-
execution is the hard part.
Exactly, and getting prepared.
Yeah.
You get a kid, 5'7", 5'8", 160 pounds, and he's benching, 250 as a freshman.
Right.
It's a suit of armor for that kid. He
Oh, yeah, it
believes.
is.
Starts getting his mind thinking like, I can succeed at this, right? And then speed comes in, and then technique, and all that stuff comes together. You may have a semi-average player that may end up being in the starting lineup somewhere,
Absolutely.
and that's all possible.
And it just comes back to what we talk about, the culture. It's from the beginning. It's the building blocks from day one to day infinity, and it
Right.
never ends. I mean, I used to say to myself, why is my son the only one in the weight room on Saturday morning after Friday night?
Right.
Literally, by himself, nobody else here. And you and I used to go crazy. I used to tell him all the time, like, what is this?
The 4 or 5
You know?
programs I know in Connecticut are doing that.
Yeah, that are
All that are successful.
They're successful.
Right. Right.
So it's.
So it doesn't make sense. And if that is the true recipe, why are people not following it? Is our parents getting involved, saying, "Hey, this is too much"? I mean, like, where's the breakdown? Why is? I mean, this is what if I want to make a cake and someone hands me the recipe, I'm not just going to put my own shit in there. I'm going to follow this recipe.
Right.
Especially
So-
if it's good.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if exactly.
But
So
again,
where's the breakdown?
the head of the
Where-
program has to want to do that.
So why do these heads not want to do that? And if so, then why are they still there?
Because they're just chasing paychecks, bro. They're not. There's
Whatever
no
the
passion.
reason is,
You think they're putting 300 clinic hours in like him?
yeah,
They're not fucking doing it.
they don't.
And so how much is political then for getting these jobs? Because let's be honest, if I got 2 candidates, and I'm the employer, I'm going to look for the most qualified guy. If I see somebody with 300 hours and somebody with 50, I'm picking the guy with 300. Doesn't even make any sense.
You'll be shocked. They don't hire
what I'm
guys
saying.
that are qualified for the jobs.
No.
They hire the best
buddies.
bullshit artists. You got guys that go in interviews who come from other places who didn't win a fucking game, and they hire them. And this is rampant. And then you want to know why you have
So,
a
and
problem.
I'm assuming it's the AD who picks
it's
these
administration.
people.
Well, here's the thing I've learned. Usually, what you have to do is a really good coach can elevate an AD, and a bad AD will de-elevate a good coach.
That makes sense.
Right. If I'll use a name, Lou Marinelli from New Canaan, Connecticut. If he walked into New Fairfield, the next day things would change.
Of course.
Either the AD hired him, either you're on board with me or you're not, and that would be all discussed from the beginning.
Before it happened.
If I was ever hired to be a high school coach, I have a checklist that I would want.
And you got to go to the AD and say, listen, if you can't provide me with
I don't
this,
wanna be
then this
here.
is not the right fit for me.
If you don't have these 10 things, we can't compete.
Right.
Right. Even more important.
So I was just gonna say, so it's way more than just you can't hire me. We're not. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do my
Teaching a
job.
kid to block and catch and all that stuff is very important, but having them ready to play is insurmountable.
And then having the support back behind you to be able to provide them with the resources they need to be successful.
Kids love success.
Heck yeah.
And they'll-
Everybody loves
And
success.
they'll
Forget
do
about
it.
kids.
And a 10-year-old will do exactly what it takes to succeed if he believes that
that this is what it takes.
We're in the right spot, right?
Yeah, as soon as they see something that works, they go, oh shoot, wait a second. So all I gotta do is wear this same T-shirt underneath my shoulder pads, and I'm gonna be successful. Dude, you wear that same T-shirt underneath your shoulder pads every single visit.
It's the mentality, and like I told Coach a few weeks ago. I said, well, I want to see how many parents will send their 11-year-old to Lake Placid, New York for 2 days by themselves to compete with the best teams in the country. Okay, and the kid knows and wants to go, and knows it's not going to be a fun 2 days. That's really what you need in all sports, right or wrong.
My mother would pack her bag.
And we packed our bag. We packed our bags too.
That's
But I think at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of what we covered here today has to do with the fact that it's got to start from the bottom, it's got to grow to the top, and it has to become a fervor around. Okay, and that's when people buy in. Okay,
Absolutely.
and they buy in, and they don't mind funding. They don't, and the work has to be put in. And listen, this is the template. You take Brookfield. They won state championships because from the beginning of time, their youth system goes into the high school system, and they're like, if you're either with us or against us. If you're not with us, thank you very much. Be on your way.
And in the upper high school programs, you will see the high school coach has direct responsibility to the youth program.
Correct.
They should. It's his feeder program.
Right. He doesn't shy away from it. He
Embraces it.
Sends his assistants down there to help out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he knows this is what I'm getting.
Right.
This is the
That's
stuff
your
I'm gonna
future.
have.
Right.
Exactly.
And they bring in the youth coaches in the off season. The thing that they ask as youth coaches is just not sign the dot. You have to commit.
Right.
And the commit is going to be 10 months a year. You're going to come in for meetings with our high school staff. You're going to learn our system correctly, and then you're going to execute our system. If you can't do that,
then you're in that's not
then
this
you
is
won't
the
be
right
coaching.
position.
Yeah, you won't be here.
I was out in Washington State 2 years ago, and I've seen Darien, Connecticut, and New Canaan, Connecticut, and Greenwich, Connecticut. I went there, and it was just at another level, and it was pretty fascinating. It was closest to college that I've ever seen in a high school program. These kids they prepared themselves all year round for their sport, and it was fascinating.
And it shows.
And
I think ultimately, to wrap it up, is that what it comes down to is this: is if you don't have a culture for the sport you're looking to have success in, it's not going to come out of thin air.
if you don't have a culture.
What about things like this? Does this have any bearing on
Yes.
I mean, on any of the conversation we're having?
Yes.
They come out and stuff, They come out, but it has a lot of bearing. But to wrap it up, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So if you want to have the culture, and I don't care what sport it is, it has to start from the ground up, and it has to be
Permeate
explained.
Don't parents work hard to produce a culture for their students to learn, their kids to learn?
Correct.
It's the same thing. They're learning a sport.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Well, thanks a
Guys,
lot.
we want to thank Coach Rossini for coming today. We'll have him back again, trust me, very soon. Again, the Match App Podcast, Paul Ciato, Christopher Shea, Guy Rossini. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.